I'm here potting on some Primula veris, which is a little cowslip. So that's our native primula, and its name comes from primavera, which is spring. And they've all just come up, and they need potting on from these 9 centimetre pots into 2 litre pots, and they're going to get quite a bit bigger once they have settled into these pots. I just potted this one on. You see it's a little bit floppy, so I'm going to water it in afterwards and put them in the shade. So that's really important after you pot on things, to make sure you just leave them in the shade for a few days and properly water them in. So Primula is a gorgeous little plant. You probably recognise it. I hope you do. It's one that you may be lucky enough to see in the wild. It's a wildflower, a native wildflower of Ireland. Very like our other Primrose, which is Primula veris. We're going to go outside and have a look at one of them in a minute. I'm going to try and find one. And it's a gorgeous little plant. It's got these little basal rosette of green, crinkly kind of leaves here, and then these little hairy stems that come up, and these little clusters of yellow flowers. And inside the yellow flowers is little orange kind of flecks that you'll see. And so I'm just actually loosening up the plant here, loosening up its roots, and just taking off some of this old soil here. And I'm going to use this fork here to do a bit of that. And that's important, just to make sure that you loosen up the roots before you pot it on. You can do it with your hands like that, or you can do it with a fork. And make sure that you get all the roots nice and loose, because they've been bound into these pots here, and you want to give them the best chance when you pot them up. And I've put in a little bit of compost here, so this is potting compost, and I'm going to just spread out the roots a little bit and put it in, and then just fill up loosely. You don't need to press it down, just fill up some nice potting compost around the plant here. Yeah, you don't want to bury it too deep into the pot as well, and just go around like that, and perfect. There, make it nice and loose, don't press down too hard, that's perfect. And as I said, water it in and put it in the shade for a few days, or leave it somewhere that's not too shady. It's going to be quite bright here normally in the tunnel. So but Primula veris, it's a gorgeous little wildflower, and it has, I think the reason why it's actually kind of lesser seen in the wild is because it was over harvested. Traditionally the flowers and the leaves were used to make wines and syrups, so that could be, and then intensive farming as well, because one of its habitats is actually grasslands. So you will find it in grasslands, but you'll also find it in woodland, because it loves kind of dapple shade as well. So interesting, likes both of those kind of places. It tends to like a kind of a moister soil, or that's where you'll find it growing. But it's quite adaptable, like a lot of plants. You know, they'll grow in all kinds of conditions. So if you have one of these in your garden, actually do save the seed. It would be really great for you to actually save the seed from it. It's not an easy plant to propagate from seed, but if you are a gardener and you like propagating plants, give it a go. But definitely save the seed, or else get more plants from a nursery like ours, Berry Botanicals, or from another nursery, and definitely keep it in your garden. Plant more of them into your garden. If you do actually spot one in the wild growing, it'd be really nice for you to get in touch with the National Biodiversity Data Centre, and you can record your sighting, and they really appreciate that, because they're always trying to track where wildflowers like this that are lesser seen are. This plant is kind of more common in the Midlands than it is along the west coast here in Sligo, but I have seen it growing. I saw it down the beach, our local beach, once in Mullaghmore, and the next day I went there walking the dogs, someone had picked it. So that was unfortunate, because there was just one there growing on the grasslands behind the sand dunes there on the beach. So it's a plant that I don't really use a lot medicinally yet. We grow about 200 plants here, and about 160 we sell through Berry Botanicals, our nursery. And so it is a plant that I like to grow. I've always had it in the garden, but it's just not one that I've started making a lot of remedies from yet, because there's so many plants we have. So I think this year I'd really like to put some more Primula veris, some more cowslips, into a bed or into the garden, and grow a lot more of it, because it's actually the leaves and the flowers of the plant you'll use. And as you can see, there's not a lot of plant material here. It's a small plant, so you need quite a lot of it to start making some remedies from it. So it was used as an infusion, as a tea, for insomnia in kids. It's quite a gentle one for kids, and also for just overexciting. It's just to calm the nervous system. But actually it's the roots that were kind of more known in herbal medicine. So these lovely roots here, and they have an expectorant action, and also contain salicylates. So they have possibly why they're known as an anti-arthritic plant for pain relief, and actually also for spasming and cramping as well. So quite nice for that. I'm actually going to go out, I'll talk more about the medicinal properties of it in a minute, because I'm going to go out and try and find one of its other cousins, which would be more common, one you'd recognise, the Primula vulgaris, the primrose. So let's go do that. So I found some little wild Primula vulgaris, which is again Primulaceae family, just like our little Primula veris, so they're related. But this is the wild one, so you probably recognise this one a lot more. The much more open flower and a much larger basal rosette of crinkly leaves as well. So the flowers are a good bit bigger, and they're not in these little clusters like this one here, so you can compare them. And this one has much the same medicinal properties as the Primula veris, but apparently to a lesser extent. So I was talking about using the flowers as a nice anti-spasmodic and also as a nice sedative. So you could do that with these flowers as well. And the roots of the Primula veris, we were talking about them being anti-inflammatory because they have salicylates in them, so used for arthritic pain traditionally, but also as an expectorant due to its saponin content. So it like thins that really thick mucus that you get with phlegmatic conditions like bronchitis, and it could be used alongside other herbs with asthma, depending on the type of asthma, if there's a lot of phlegm. That. So any kind of condition where there's lots of phlegm, and also upper respiratory catarrh as well, ear, nose, throat kind of catarrh, you could use the roots for that too as a decoction. So that means you cook up the roots, just simmer them, boil up the water and simmer them for about 10 minutes, and that's your lovely root decoction. But again, only harvest this plant if you're growing it yourself, never from the wild. But this plant here, you may have loads of this growing in your fields like we do here. I'm underneath some lovely hawthorn trees here. And the little Primula vulgaris, or primrose here, wild plant, is just nestled underneath here. And it's gorgeous because in springtime, this is the first thing that comes up. And then come summertime, this will all be brambles and lots of nettles you can see here and that as well. So it's really cute to see them coming up. These plants, actually, a lot of people use the lovely primrose, or the Primula vulgaris, in salads and things like that. So a nice way to just get some plants into as well. For a nice sedative action to put them in your salads, and also used in beauty. So for traditionally kind of thought to get rid of freckles and calm the complexion, and useful for spots and kind of acne, things like that. You can make lots of different products out of them. So that's again the flowers and the leaves as well that you can use for some of your nice homemade herbal beauty creams and things like that. So these are the gorgeous little flowers here. And that's just a little bit of information on Primula veris, a lovely flower that you'll see up now at the moment, and Primula vulgaris. So look out for them in the wild, and yeah, have fun. Make a little tea out of them if you have a lot of them growing around you.